Hi there, I'm Julie Tam, managing broker of LYN Realty in Houston, and welcome to another episode of Smarter Real Estate, weekly on Wednesdays, where I arm you with practical strategies to be a smarter buyer, seller, tenant, or landlord, and also take you along on my real estate adventures. Today's topic is new construction pandemic woes. So, as you've probably heard, unless you've been hiding under a rock, these past 2 years of the COVID-19 pandemic, here we are in March 2022, have just been a roller coaster ride for real estate. So, of course, when people are selling real estate, they're really making off with a lot of money in most cases. Buyers are having to pay more. And it's no different in new construction where homes are costing more for the buyer. But that actually doesn't mean the builders are necessarily making more profit. It just depends on how they're structuring it. But they're certainly doing a lot more to protect themselves from losing money due to this volatile market. Let me just lay it out for you. But before I do that, I'm going to basically explain to you how new construction has changed during just the course of the pandemic in big, significant ways. And I'll walk you through what to look for and how to handle it. And then how someone like me, a real estate broker, can help you navigate it. And right now, I actually have 4 new construction projects that I'm involved with specifically. I've got 2 buyers who are under contract for spec homes that builders were building and waiting for a buyer. And so those homes are under construction now, going to be closing hopefully in the next couple of months or so. And then I've got another buyer that's a custom build right now, a build on your lot. I helped those buyers buy the lot that they're building on currently, and construction has just begun on them. And of course, my own personal new home construction project. Plus, I've got some other clients waiting in the wings to come and look at new construction for me to help them buy a brand new home. And so I've been talking to a lot of different builders, both custom, high end, all the way. Actually, I should probably say that right now, all the ones I'm working with are more on the luxury to high end, so above average price homes. And so, but then some of the builders, are larger builders who build, many homes, and then some are smaller builders, who don't build too many homes. Some builders are very, very experienced, have been around for a long time. Some are a little bit newer. So it really ranges the entire gamut. And so I do have a good sense of what's going on today. And then I've also done a lot of reading of the news, just what's going on in the Houston market and also nationwide, just to get a more holistic viewpoint of it and not just my anecdotal experience, which of course gets more detailed because I'm actually experiencing it firsthand and talking to the builders, talking to the buyers. And so really a lot of good media information in today's video. Okay, so going back to kind of explaining kind of how it all begins. So raw materials like lumber and concrete and electrical components, all sorts of things like that have been going up and down, fluctuating largely. And of course, overall, the movement has been going in the upward direction. And so what builders are finding it difficult to do is to lock buyers into a price and then to discover that, oh my gosh, what I'm charging the buyer is now too little because my cost is now higher because, for example, lumber prices have gone up yet again. And so builders are having to build in costs or price increases to capture those costs to them. Otherwise, they're going to come out at the end losing money. They might as well not build the house at all. In fact, one of the builders, in fact, told me, he was like, if I'm going to give the buyers that much of a discount, I might as well just pay the buyers to walk away because building the house is going to cause me to lose even more money, than paying them a small sum of money to walk away. So let's begin. I've got basically 6 different points I want to make, and I'm going to show you some photos of some of these new construction projects that are going on right now so that you can see some examples. Okay. One quick note. Yes, I know I need to repaint my nails. They're peeling and I've been busy. So, okay, the first thing, and I've got my notes here so I don't miss anything, is today buyers of new homes don't have as much leverage and they're getting far fewer freebies or concessions from builders. But because of fine print, okay, you do need a realtor to help you decipher and help navigate any loopholes in the contract so that you are not, for lack of a better word, screwed. Hey, there's a good pun. Builders use screws in new homes. Okay, so there's that. But you can still find ways to get some freebies or discounts on things You just have to know how to do it. So sometimes with builders, if they can potentially get one of their vendors to provide something. Now, vendors may not be up for this either. For example, appliance prices have skyrocketed, right? There's been delays in those production lines, whenever people are out sick with COVID or having to quarantine, a bunch of workers that were exposed to that one worker who's infected, then obviously things get backed up. And so we're having labor and supply shortages, and the supply chain, of course, is all, still backed up in most cases for most materials and labor, of course. And so that is what has caused, these dramatic increases, and not just in building supplies and labor, but everything. We're seeing gas. Of course, part of that has to do with the Russia war, in Ukraine. But then we're also seeing increases of, groceries and all sorts of other random things that have nothing to do with home construction. So this is really across the board. Okay, so let me give you an example. So let's go ahead and do a screen share. I'm going to pull up some photos here. By the way, if you find this video helpful, I would really appreciate you liking and subscribing so you don't miss an episode, because there's a lot of valuable information that I provide for you every week. And also giving me a comment or sending me a message. I would really love to hear from you. Okay, this is a picture from HAR.com, from MLS, of a home. This is not the home that my buyer is buying, but it is a similar home. It is what is listed of a completed home. And so this is in the neighborhood where my buyer has a new home under construction. And when it's done, it's going to have finishes similar to this. Okay, so what builders are doing is they have a basic, kind of your base model. So basic things that are included at no additional cost. Some builders, however, are putting together packages that include upgrades already and then building those additional costs into the price of the home. And so it's not like buyers are necessarily getting to choose their individual upgrades like in the olden days, but builders are already building them in, thinking, okay, this is probably what buyers will want. They're going to want something nicer than the basic, but we don't want to give them a chance to choose, because in case those products are, out of stock or severely delayed, we don't want that to delay the project and cause complications or cause disappointment to the buyer because the colors that they chose are not going to be available. And so builders are already, going ahead and putting the home together. And so this is a primary bath, for example. Here's a picture of the living, dining, kitchen area. So examples of upgrades that you would potentially be able to get, but now maybe harder to come by, would be things like flooring, your tile work, wood, carpet, the backsplash for the tile, as you can see in the kitchen there, your different plumbing fixtures, certain colors may be upgrades, lighting fixtures may include upgrades, upgrading to different appliances. And then of course, builders are doing things like mood boards. So normally interior designers put these together for the builders, or they may have someone on staff. And so this, for example, shows you the kitchen and living area. So the combination of, we've got the tile, we've got the flooring, cabinets, lighting and plumbing fixtures. Some of them will show door hardware, like your door knobs or handles. And then primary bath are showing the same thing, a collection of, what would be on the walls or the shower floor, and then the main floor. And of course, again, your cabinets, plumbing and lighting. Here's another photo showing the secondary baths, okay? What I would advise typically is, if you are doing upgrades, this is kind of an aside, not about pandemic woes, but just building in general, is try to upgrade areas that matter more. So, the kitchen is going to be the most important room in your home, then primary bath. And as you see, I'm getting bigger. And then of course, your secondary baths are not as important. The powder bath is going to be, important as well. Okay. And here is another house that I've got a buyer under contract for. In this case, the builder was a little bit more flexible. They were able to let her select the package that she wanted in terms of, say matte black and gold, for example, on plumbing fixtures and lighting, and then also add a few little upgrades like accent walls and things like that. Of course, the home is not built yet. This is, again, a completed home. Both of these homes for these clients are under construction right now. And so things like an upgraded backsplash tile or upgraded countertop are things, that could still be possible. Of course, it also depends on if the builder has ordered the product yet for the home, because if they've already ordered it and it's coming, they may not want to let you upgrade and then cause potential delays. And so, but if they haven't, or maybe they have something in stock, some of these builders have already bought a bunch of things, they have them waiting. So that way you can just pick, and then they have things already in stock to install. They don't have to wait for delivery. This is a staged living room. And of course, staging it just makes it look all the better, right? It makes it feel more homey. And that's why builders do that. Here is the powder room. And this is an example of an accent wall and also an upgraded light that you could potentially choose. Now, in this case, even though we didn't get any freebies because phase one was already sold out except for like one house left, and they were about to start phase two, there's high demand. The builder did agree to install a Ring doorbell for free, for example. And so that's, that's not insignificant. You might pay a handyman, $100 to do it, or you're fumbling with it, yourself. But so it's nice to go ahead and get things like that done. Okay, I'm having issues with like seeing all the thumbnails and clicking on them while my little picture thingy is bigger. Okay, here we go. It's the last one, last hurdle here. And here's the primary bath. So again, an accent wall that would cost extra. Okay. All right. And then in some cases, builders are doing more than just the black and white, kind of old school, very detailed floor plan. I shouldn't say old school because, they're still being used, but this is kind of a newer version where they're actually showing you images of furniture and cars and where they would go so that you have a better sense of it and it looks better. So it's just more visual and you can really see it come to life instead of just, black text on a white background. Okay, and here's the last one pertaining to that home. And while you're looking at that, let me go ahead and list out for you what I was able to get my custom buyer client who is building right here on this lot. Now, the previous two buyers are in City of Houston. This one is in City of Bel Air. It was difficult to try to negotiate much more of a discount on the price, just got them a little bit off. And I really went back and forth with the builder. I worked it really hard, but I was able to get them a box beam, or also called egg crate or coffered ceiling above their dining room and adjoining sitting room with no additional charge. Gaslight connections and labor included, but just not the actual gaslight fixtures on the front porch. Installation of the fridge and the drink/wine fridge at no additional charge. And the contract originally said that there would be charge. These labor charges really add up. It could be hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on what is being done. The primary bath shower wall being tiled all the way to the ceiling at no extra charge, and also a beadboard ceiling at the back patio at no extra charge. And so when you start adding the stuff up, those materials and things too, that could be thousands more dollars. So really, we're still able to get 4 or 5 figures in discounts in some of these cases. But of course, this is $1 million home. And so that's going to be less significant. The previous 2 homes you were seeing were under $1 million. Okay, builders are also not including a completion date in the contract these days sometimes because they just don't know if they can meet that target. And so they do not want issues or having the customer complaining or whatever. And so traditionally the builders usually do not want to assign fault to themselves. So if they cause delays, then there's no reimbursement to the buyer for any costs that they might incur. For example, like when we moved into our current home from an apartment 10 years ago, our apartment lease was up. We were supposed to be moving into the new home. It was timed really nicely, but the new home construction was delayed. So that caused our rent to go up because now we were on month to month. We couldn't sign another lease since we knew we were going to be out, any day now, but we were delayed by about a month or 2. And so we had to pay that much higher month-to-month rate in order to do so. But builders don't like to cover those costs for buyers. Usually the buyer gets penalized, and there is a clause in the contract for that if the buyer is the one who causes the delay. But of course, builders, they just don't want to do a promise date because then that starts to get complicated. So if they don't promise the completion date, then they don't have to deal with that issue. Okay, number 3 is that builders are now including a clause in many cases that will allow for a price increase and the unilateral ability to cancel the contract if the buyer will not pay that increased price due to price increases to the raw materials and the labor for the builder. Number 4 is delays due to shortages in labor and materials, which we talked about. So given that, you do have to plan ahead and think about adding on a couple of months, possibly at minimum, for the build time. Okay, so this, of course, is our empty lot. I showed you the groundbreaking last week. This is the progress since then. You just see some little wooden stakes kind of marking off where the form will go, for the foundation to be poured, and some more materials have been brought in. We are still waiting for that City of Houston permit, so hurry up if you're watching with the city, please. Okay, so I'm going to close this up and stop the screen share and just go ahead and finish off with my final 2 points. Number 5 is that we are needing to order a lot of things and make selections further in advance than before. So for example, we've already, for our new home, ordered the appliances almost a year or at least several months in advance of when the builder will need them. The appliances, the turnaround time has improved. We were originally going to have to order them 1 year in advance, but now it's looking more like it's going to be, I don't know, like eight months in advance, but that's still a significant amount of time. It did not used to be that way. You could just order, a couple of months in advance, and that would be good. And then other things, for example, like right now we're having to select the overhead garage door, plumbing fixtures. What else was there? I'm trying to remember. Gas light fixtures for the front porch. I can't remember everything because I've got this long list and we're just like, just frantically trying to go and look at all these different selections. I'm wanting to possibly do sprung floors under our game room wood floors for the ballet and dancing and jumping up and down so that we don't hurt our joints. And so we're having to go ahead and get that quoted and figured out now. Already a couple of weeks ago or so, actually a few weeks ago, we also, at the same time that we placed the appliance order, we also had to place the order for the windows and sliding glass door. And right now we're having to select the front door and the stucco paint and the roof shingles color. So some of these things like the exterior, your stucco and your roof, traditionally, of course, are earlier on selections because that's the part that's going to be finished sooner. But there's even been paint shortages where the most popular colors are not in stock. So if you can imagine. Okay, finally, number 6, for a custom build, especially, you need to make sure that your construction loan lender gives you a free extension for any delay past the completion deadline. Now, I will tell you that most lenders will not just give you a carte blanche, indefinite extension. They're going to give you an extension typically of about, say, 6 months. And then, at that point, you'll start having to pay penalty. But hopefully the builder wouldn't be 6 months delayed. I mean, that's quite a lot. These days, it shouldn't be that much delayed. We should be talking about maybe 1 or 2 months or something like that. Could be a few. The 6 months is quite a bit. The lender that we're working with says the builder that we're working with, which they've worked together for a long time, says this builder has not gone past the extended completion. So maybe missed the original completion, which is basically 1 year, but not the, say, 6-month extension. And some lenders will actually let you potentially extend a little bit longer than 6 months. Basically, you just need to talk to them. And if they have approved the builder, trust the builder, know that the builder isn't going to be just, messing around and not, doing what they're supposed to do, that they are on top of it, they're working on it, but there are just delays that are beyond anyone's control. And so in that case, the lender may grant you a little bit longer than what you need, maybe 7-8 months, so just opening that communication up. And then your job as a buyer is to be diligent. You have got to make those selections when the builder says so. Get out there within however many days the contract says you're supposed to get out there. Be even faster than that if possible. Because if you make those deadlines and you're not causing delays, then that's at least one part of the equation that's solved. And then you just pray that everything else will fall into place. All right. If you have any questions or comments about this, again, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I hope you will continue watching Smarter Real Estate weekly on Wednesdays. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.